be speaking to you today. Today is actually a holiday in my country, so I'm just using this opportunity to reach out to those people who may have had some questions about Neville Goddard and about me exposing Neville Goddard. I want to first of all state clearly that I am not against the things that he would have taught, okay? Though many of the things are quite conflicting, there's certain value you can get from some of the things that he would have said, okay? But there's certain things that I would definitely like to explain to you so you will understand where I am coming from as one who lives in a country where Neville Goddard family is one of the ruling class family, one of the family that runs this country secretly, okay? And Barbados is also another island where the Goddard family is running a part of the ruling family that is running that country secretly also, okay? Now, what most people do not know, people on the internet and even people in my country, is that Neville family would have built a very massive building, a living quarter in this country that had 100 windows. It was the first house that was ever built in this island with 100 windows, but they couldn't open 100 windows. They could have only opened 99 of the windows, and they had to keep one window locked or closed as a sign of respect to Buckingham Palace in England. And so there are certain families and certain bloodlines on this planet, and some bloodlines and families have not gotten what belongs to them, okay? Certain things have been forfeited from them by other families who are run by greed and power and who wants to control everything for themselves, and who have a dark agenda. And the other families have to struggle when they have rights to certain things also, okay? So I know where I'm coming from. I know the things that I'm saying, that 99.9999999% of people in my country do not know anything about what I'm speaking about, okay? Because what happened, these businesses, they keep changing names and pass down to certain families, okay? But one thing I want to highlight to you is that Neville work has a lot of contradictions and there's a lot of holes in it. And I can definitely point out these things because there are people asking me about where am I getting my facts from and so on. And there are people who thinking that I'm speaking against his esoteric interpretation of the scriptures and so on. I'm not speaking against those things. I'm speaking about he trying to incorporate a black man to hide the light of a present day black mystic, a present day enlightened melanated man. I am exposing the chap that they've been using down throughout the ages to keep our people looking backwards and to always keep them in the past. When there's no past, there's only now, there's only the present. Neville Goddard is being revered presently right now. But he put Abdullah in the shades in a certain way. Basically, it is the black man he's putting down in a certain way, but only few people can see it. He's blocking you from receiving the message of emancipation. And so he cooked up a lie because he would have read Walter C. Lanyan's work. And Walter C. Lanyan was using a parable when he speaks about Abdullah. Abdullah. It's the same thing. Now when you understand the Bible, the Quran, Christianity, Islam, and so on, and you understand that they all have one agenda. And unless you discover that one agenda, you would never know who you are. But when you know who you are, you know that you are the Lord and Master. You would know that you're your own Savior. You would know that you have the creative and innovative power within you. You know that you didn't born here with any religion, and that there's no one who could enslave you and come back and be your teacher to free you. So you have to get the lesson. I have a friend of mine. He is the person I've ever been friend with for all my life. We've been friends from ever since. He lost his job working with the Goddard family in my country in around 2020 to 2022 when they had the big pandemic. That company was the first company to force the people to take the injection or lose their job. Even those who were on probation, they were told that they would not be employed unless they take the shot. And my good friend, he left the job. Now, if the people in my country wake up to know what Neville would have taught and how every Saturday and Sunday they're slaving themselves in church, worshiping the white idol that was given to them, they will get to understand me more, because the biggest business secret in this island, I know. Okay? And that is why these families have been ruling for so long. For example, right here where I'm seated and bringing this message to you, those from Buckingham Palace, whenever they come to this country, they always visit here for a certain reason. I know the reason. Okay? And I know the reason why the Goddard family, why they build the house with 100 windows and they keep that one closed in respect to the royals in England. Okay? But my brother and my sisters, when you know that you have royal blood, when you know who you are, and you know how powerful you are, you're not afraid of anything. Okay? You're not afraid of death, because death is inevitable. And you know you're just going to get more and more and more powerful. Okay? And so, Neville, when he speak about the woman and the beach who told him about his life and told his brother who would become a doctor and told his other brother who would become a businessman, he never tell you that that woman was a black woman. Neville never tell you that his family has never been a poor family. Neville never tell you why his family end up in Barbados. How can a man whose origin is British, how did he end up being a citizen of the island of Barbados? And why English men and women love Barbados so much? And why, of all the islands in the Caribbean, Barbados is known for homosexuality more than anyone else? Because when they did colonize that country, there was even more men than women. So one of the things that is very much known about Barbados, and no disrespect to Barbados because it's a place I like a lot, okay, is homosexuality. As a matter of fact, there are people who leave this island to go to Barbados so they could be a homosexual without any harassment, without anyone basically hating on them. So, the fact that Neville Goddard family is still ruling many of the islands, they have businesses even in Canada too, okay? There's no way that his family was any poor family. So those are some of the things that I have to show you that is a lie, which means what he's offering is not the truth because it is not pure, it is mixed. And the fact that he was a part of a brotherhood, a secret brotherhood, tells a lot about the man, because he never mentioned that. Because he said that he was invited to many clubs and he wasn't part of no club, but he was a part. When he traveled to England and he was met with by a certain man and he was given certain books. That's how we get to know about William Blake. That's how we get to know about Walter Silanian. He read their work. And all of these self-help teachers and self-development teachers and so on, right? And people like Neville Goddard, there's a pattern, okay, in their life. I can trace all the way back to people like William Branham and how William Branham was trained by the Imperial Wizard of the KKK and the Masons, okay? Then I could go back to this man, he used to wear a breastplate and say that was the breastplate that Aaron the priest used to wear. I'll get his name in a while because William Branham used to go by his grave, okay? I'll get his name. The name will come to me in a while, okay? And what they always do, they always put their work together on tapes. They always been taping down their work down throughout the ages. They put them either in books or in tapes, okay? And so you have the Adventist Church, you have the Jehovah's Witnesses, you have the so-called Baptists, you have all of these evangelicals, and all of these things leading back to Rome and leading back to the place that became a nation in 1948, okay? The so-called Israel, okay? All of that is leading back to all of that. That's why Neville was saying that the moon landing did happen, which is a damn lie. Okay? Now, when you watch the pattern, you will see the same pattern. And it been happening all the time. It's a pattern being passed down all the time. And these people are making millions and billions because they leave their work and they immortalize themselves and always keep themselves in the present, in the present tense, while they have a people looking in the past tense. That's why they paint an idol like themselves and give melanated people. Like, for example, when Neville Goddard said, and a voice spoke and said, and God walk with them. And the woman at the side says, and if God walk with them, where is he? And he said, at thy side. And the woman look at him and laugh and he said, you mean to say Neville is God? So if Neville is God and Ab, and he said you should call him Abd, which is slave. Servant. You see, many people will get they will get confused with me because someone said to me, so why you dedicated things to Neville? Reverse psychology. You have to understand parody. Okay, I have a Bible. I mentioned his name there, and Abdullah, and I wrote the book, The Black Mystic from Ethiopia, Neville Goddard meant. And if you read, you understand. You will understand from a long time. I know this thing. And you will understand why the white man interviewed me just to ask me the one question. Who he was talking about when he said the brother said that he was coming. So there's always been a pattern, and you could chase the pattern come all the way down. I don't mention all the different denominational organizations like the Adventist, the Jehovah's Witness, you name it. You name it. Okay, you could name some for me too. And I show you the founders and how they put books together and how they put tapes together, and those things were hidden until a certain time when the earth will go through a certain cycle, they start to bring out all of these work. And that is why gullible people think, oh, Neville Goddard is putting a black man up there. No, he's putting him down. So that's why you have to learn to read between the lines. So then you see all these people making comments and say, Neville knew he was God the Father. No, if Neville, let's say he had a certain experience and I make him God the Father, what happened to me now who had this experience and had it in a greater way, in a more mightier way, and in a faster way too? Huh? Why they put the eye on the US money? You think I don't have rights to it too? Why you think I carry the name and surname, the surname I carrying? I can't be fooled and I can't be tricked. There's certain people on this planet that certain thing belongs to them. There's certain rulers who's supposed to be ruling this planet who have been forfeited. And until things been put right, there are going to be more and more disasters. There are going to be more earthquakes. There are going to be more tsunamis. There are going to be more volcanic eruptions. There are going to be more of these things. People like to talk about reparation, but they do not understand the real reparation. So when I speak about Neville Goddard and exposing Neville Goddard, I know what I'm talking about. There are hundreds of people being employed in my country by their company. Okay, and these people are churchgoers, dedicated churchgoers. And the very few at the top is who join certain brotherhoods. These are horse slaves in disguise. There's nothing new under the sun. It just cycles keep happening. We have always been the freedom fighters, and we have certain rights. We have royal blood too. We belong to bloodline too. That's why we can have the same kind of experiences too. So this is basically like a family feud for those who do not understand and those who get in trick with the internet. And with all the people who post it, because there's a Neville gravy chain. So I'm going to mash some corn and ruffle some feathers because there's a Neville Goddard gravy chain that is going on. You know how many influencers there is on the internet that is speaking about Neville Goddard? You think Honest Home, Neville Goddard, Wayne Dyer, all of them is the same thing. It's just like people talking about Illuminati, Freemasonry, all the same thing, same agenda. So if you're a melanated person and listen to me, you're chopped on all sides. You go the esoteric way, you chop. You go the esoteric way and you do not understand who to listen to, you chop. That's why when I speak, I tell you we are magicians. I tell you, you have to use magic. You have to learn how to summon things. They're telling you about law of attraction. They're giving you the Wim Hof breathing. I am giving you the honey sexual breathing. They call him the Iceman. I telling you, this is the sun man. I've been teaching the inner sun science and technology. The breath of God breathed the breath of life into man. Man became one living soul. Your walking living solar system. Your solar system have been blocked. So when they talk about your pineal gland being calcified and all of that, look at nature. You see everything that nature shines upon. It brings forth bountifully. You the people are the sun. Why you think they can go to Africa and get the gold, the diamond, the thing that they need to be in the cell phone, anything that gonna raise a higher civilization? That is in you. That's not outside of you. Geographical Africa is just a reflection of the Africa in you. You are a magician. Don't take the things that I'm saying lightly or slightly. When I talk about the honey breathing technique, it's no joke. When I say that we can out-sex the entire planet, we can do it. That's why we're more endowed. This is a battle we are in. This is war. So I'm not against Neville. I'm against an agenda. Where was Neville all these years? Why was his work been hidden? Why the resurrection book has been hidden too? So don't just get caught up as melanated people say, oh, Neville put a black man. No, the chicken you. That's why I don't get caught up with people coming and comment to me and say, I'm a black man too. I don't give a fuck about you. They have the black bullet, they have all of that. I don't watch skin color. I watch truth. My work here is to expose the lies and to show people the truth, and the truth is in you. I don't care the color of your skin. You have to, you get confused if you don't understand me. What I stand for is truth, not race. Truth. But as a melanated man, any part of the world I travel to, that's how I will be seen. And whatever impression they create about melanated people and people's mind all around the world, okay, you can't escape that. Okay? But my thing is about truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It means when you do not get the truth, you're not living in freedom. You think money is freedom? You think because Neville Goddard tell you about love assumption until you could manifest this, until you could manifest that, and then do you realize in a great depression, 1933, Neville parents live in what is called a third world country. Okay? Yet they could have sent 50 US. You know how much 50 US was back in 1933? And you getting it down in the islands, an island like Barbados. My brother, my sister, let me tell you. One time I went to Barbados for bodybuilding competition. I went to this hotel where most of the white people were staying that came from America for the show too, because it was a show that you have to be natural and you have to do like detector tests and so on. Though these people still cheating, you know, they were still cheating. Anyway, I remember when I go there for the meeting, I was taken up by the beauty and so on of the hotel. But what happened? I ended up and I walked the wrong way to find where the meeting was going. And I met some people that look like me. It's the saddest people. And these people had some massive things with the sheets, the curtains, all of the things that they was washing and doing all of the laundry and things. These people were not happy. It took everything away from me. All of the beauty of the hotel, everything taken away from me. When I see these people, I was so hurt within. I could have felt their heart. That's why they're making these places vacation places to continue to enslave the people and keep them in ignorance, because they know how they already shape your mindset from the school system. %99.9999% of people living in Barbados do not know anything about the Goddard family and the other families. The people in my country do not know who is running this country here. They think it's the people who call politicians. No, these are people being given breadcrumbs. I don't know how long I'll be here because the rain is down. Okay? But I'm on a big tree. I hope the tree shelter me enough. Okay? I hope the tree shelter me enough, you know, from this rain. The rain is down. I don't know, but I'm gonna continue to speak and see how far we're gonna go with this. Let me try to see if I can get something to probably, you know, shelter this thing from the rain. Because I definitely don't want to move. I believe the rain gonna stop. Okay? I want to believe that the rain gonna stop. But yeah. So Neville family is one of the ruling family, okay, in these parts. I think I'm gonna continue. I'm not gonna stop. Okay, I'm just gonna move from this area. Okay, and see if I can get a shelter. But I'm not gonna stop. Okay? Just bear with me. Just bear with me. Yeah. Let me just fix this. Woo! I'm wet. But I'm gonna continue. I'm not gonna stop. Okay. Let me. Okay. Okay, I'm back. My dad is telling me be careful. Okay. Yeah, and that stuff for me. Let me see. That.
You can't see if you won't see this one.
Okay, yeah, as I was saying. So, there's certain families that have been ruling for a very long time. As a matter of fact, Neville Goddard family, they were celebrating 100 years of operation in the islands. I think it was about maybe a year ago. Okay, they were celebrating. And for those of you who have never seen my vlog, I would have done a vlog on this channel. You can check out the vlog on this channel where I show you some of the businesses. And I would have, I did a video on Richard Goddard, which was someone very close to Neville Goddard also and his family. Okay, and the article of the newspaper, I put the link of the article of that newspaper in Barbados when I did that video. Okay. That video is still on my channel. Okay, I think it had name the death of Richard Goddard. Okay, and that took place in Barbados. And the way how I got that article from the newspaper, it was done in a very, let me say, unique way, because there used to be a newspaper that I used to see notification that I've never ever subscribed to or anything like that. And it was by that, because that used to give you news from the islands around the different Caribbean islands. And that's where I got it from. Okay. And I spoke about it. That's a couple of years back. Okay. But it's on this channel. It's right on this channel. Okay. And since I went up in the building and show the Joseph Goddard picture there and so on, the building in my country, you cannot go up there again. It's no longer open to the public. They put code on it now, so only the workers who know the code and so on can press whatever code it is to go up there. It's no longer open to the public. Okay. So with me saying these things, this is not me just coming up with a story. People who lives in America and so on, and who would have listened to people speak about Neville Goddard, they do not know anything about the Goddard family in the Caribbean. Okay, I remember quite vividly as a little boy growing up when my grandmother and so on used to all the time say, okay, when you go in town, you just find it by the Iron Man, and then you go by Goddards, and you buy this by Goddards, you buy that by Goddards, you buy this, you buy that, anything you want, you could have got it by the Goddards. They were first Goddards first before they keep changing the name to like traders and so on, and present, you know, they call Corys, Ace, and so on. Okay, but it's the same ownership, and they keep passing down, okay, to different people, and they keep changing the name. It's the same how they keep changing the system under certain disguise, and people fail to realize that systematic slavery continues, and will continue until you learn to free yourself and stop being gullible and selling yourself short for money, because you are more valuable than money. Don't just get caught up with, oh, I want to manifest this and I want to manifest that, and Neville Goddard say could manifest this and he could manifest that. You want to manifest true freedom for you and your family. You want to break generational curses. okay, that been passed down upon you. That's the most important thing. So, my brother, my sisters, Neville said, okay, that his brother, Victor, he said that Victor was visualizing for 2 years, seeing their family name on the marquee of a building. Come on. Even you who are aware of visualization, sometimes you can't even visualize for a week. Some of you who got this kind of knowledge, you can't even be disciplined for a month. And a month is even too much, because if you really discipline for a month, you'll see certain results. Sometimes you can't even be disciplined for at least 7 days. That's why if you do a 7-day mental diet, that was one of the first things I did when I started coming into my awakening. Okay? And you make it to at least 2-3 days, you go do fine. That is why even the strangest secret in the world, all Nightingale, because all these people know these things, what I'm saying. Okay, that's why they use the self-help space and all of these kind of things to hide it. These things I'm saying to you. Okay, that's why he gave you a 30-day exercise, a 30-day challenge. But yet, this brother of Neville, okay, could be imagining and using his imagination, doing this visualization for 2 long years. And you're telling me that this is not a family that had knowledge of how reality works? You're telling me this is not a family that knows about magic and be performing their magic? Do you know, my brother, my sisters, many of you are still under the spell? Do you know you're under the spell? Why do you think they give you something that they call the gospel, which is definitely the dark spell? Why do you think they give you that? So you have to break the spell. These people have been keeping you under a spell, and you have to break the spell. So when it comes to self-help, we have to bring self-help to our people from a different angle. We can't bring self-help to our people from the same angle that they're bringing it from. Like, for example, Judy Spencer and all his workshops that he's doing is as simple as me saying you use the sexual breathing. It is as simple as me saying to you, you're carrying the breath of life. And you have to use that breath of life and breathe your ideas into existence. There is a millionaire and a multi-millionaire frequency. You have to breathe until you can match that frequency. You have to do mindful breathing. I would never stop teaching about the importance of mindful breathing. That's why I was able to take you beyond Wim Hof breathing with the sexual honey breathing on my other channel. It's not a joke. It is not something that you should take lightly. Okay? So, my brother and my sisters, as much as you may have loved Neville Goddard and loved the work that Neville Goddard would have done, you have to know the truth, because it's only truth that will set you free. Okay? So, while the Great Depression was taking place, here was this family, okay, down in the islands, living like what? Living like gods. So, a game is being played in life. What is the game? Master and slave. Catch it. Let me run that again. The game that is being played on this planet is a game of master and slave. When a man join a fraternity and he reach a certain level, what they call him? A grand one, master. You can't have master without slave. So, it doesn't matter the complexion. Once he's a grandmaster, it is because he know that he owns slaves in different ways. Well, as long as we live on this planet, there will always be the employer and the employee. But which one you rather to be? I normally say, Someone have to sweep the street and clean the gutters, but it don't have to be you. Someone have to clean the toilets, but it don't have to be you. So I am not here to change anything. I am just here to fulfill. I am just here to tell you, take your place. Which place you want? You want the place of the master, or you want the place of the slave? You want to take the place of the employer or the employee? That is why right now, you know what they did in my country? The Sanders Hotel coming together, the same Neville Goddard family, okay, which is they call Corey's and Ace and all of that, right? Okay, all of them coming together, and what they doing? That's why I don't believe in sponsorship. You see, our people like beggy, and they like the ask for sponsorship. I remember quite vividly. I went across by one of those Latter-day Saints, Mormons, Joseph Smith and so on, right? These guys are spies. So these missionaries, they're dangerous people. Okay, I went there, and I was speaking, and one of them said nigger, and I laughed him to scam. But that one, you could have looked at him and see he was Filipino. Okay, and I said you look mixed. You look like you from Philippines or something. I said you're president killing your own people, like, and they were laughing at him. And then there were the people who look like me who was there. A lot of them, and I recognized one of them to be a policeman. And I said, look, that policeman, he know me. He know I'm not a violent person or anything like that and so on, because they was trying to, say, oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, and I take out some money out of my bag. I said, this is what you all are using against our people. And I say, but everything in the Bible is all about this right up there. I said, the sun. That sun is all about the sun. Okay, and they had their witches there. Okay, these white women who they had there, they had them hidden. I know they were there. Okay, they were there on a certain purpose, because in the night, they came to me. They came to me in the night, but they can't touch me. Okay, but anyway, and then the policeman met me about a couple weeks after, because I told them, those guys will be offended. Are you talking about nigga? Okay, using N-word. I said, don't be offended. I wouldn't be offended. I'm above you. I'm not going to give you my energy. Okay, and the guy met me, the policeman, he told me, we were there and we dealt with them and asked them, but they say what they use and so on. But you know why he was there? They were there begging. Because why? They have a credit union or whatever, police credit union, whatever. They were there begging the Mormons. Do you know how rich the Mormon is? And all these religious bodies? Do you know how much they even vampiring off you and taking and sucking your energy, keeping you in ignorance? And here and there now, after they do some lectures and they tape these lectures, and most of these people used to be at in California, Ebale Theater, by the Ebale. If you notice, Neville Goddard and many of these others, it used to be by the Ebale Theater in California. Okay, those things are not coincidence. Okay, and they knew why they was recording these works. Okay, and putting these books together. So my brother, my sisters, this is a wake-up call, whereby I'm saying to you, don't get caught up in Neville Goddard hype. What you need is true freedom. Okay, I'm not saying that some of the things that he's teaching is not true, but when it comes to his biography, and when it comes to him talking about there was a black man named Abdullah and so on, don't get caught up with that. They're shifting you from the light. Okay, you want a present day man right now that look like you, who could lead you and guide you into finding the pearl that is within you. Not to believe him or follow him. Okay, not to present himself to you as a savior to save you, but to show you that you have the power inside of you to save you, to empower you. That's what I'm talking about. So my brother, my sisters, be warned, okay? And be wise. And don't just get caught up with the hype, okay? These are the people who are a part of the ruling class in the island. These are the people who are preserving, okay, systematic slavery and so on. So don't make Neville fool you, okay? Because he will never tell you that he was a part of this certain brotherhood, okay? Let me say hi to everyone, okay? Let me just read these comments and definitely going to come to a close, okay? Someone say, I must say job, okay? Someone say hi, same to you, okay? Yes, take this channel to 15K, and then when we reach 15K, we're gonna go higher than that. Okay, someone says truth, you know, you see, some people will recognize the truth while others wouldn't recognize the truth. Okay, another person say Terry Toweling say greeting from Barbados. It's great to know that someone in Barbados tap in on this frequency to know that I'm not telling any lie, that the Goddard family still run one of the ruling family in Barbados, okay? And for those who do not know anything about my country, which is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they are the number one, okay, right here. The biggest businesses have the most people employed and so on. So people could only see employment. Why you want to be the employee if you could be the employer? I'm telling you, you could empower yourself that you could become the employer. Self-realization should be everyone's goal in these days. Exactly. And it should be taught in school too. They don't teach it in school. You see, for example, I've written books, right? And if I look back to my schooling, the thing I used to love is when most people used to hate when I used to go to school. You know, they used to hate literature. Okay, and I used to love literature. I used to love to read about like Green Days by the River and so on. I used to like to read the Shakespeare books and so on. Okay, I used to read all of those Shakespeare books and so on. And the other children used to complain and say, oh, accounts is it? Accounts will make more money. Do accounts. They will say geography and history, those things, you won't make any money. You can't get no job, no big job with that and make money. I remember especially the girls in school, they used to be the ones who used to be talking those shit. Okay, and they did shift me away a little bit. I'll be honest with you. Okay, now many of them, they're still just workers alone, nothing else. Okay, seems like you are both talking about the same thing. You see, depending on which angle you're looking from. As I said, I'm not speaking anything different or teaching anything different from what Neville would have taught, but I'm telling you, okay, is where he bring in the Abdullah, is the Abdullah thing I'm talking about. Okay, it is where he's putting the black man and the backboner in a parody, in a way that you wouldn't recognize it. Okay, very few people would recognize it and pick it up. Okay, why you think Wayne Dyer, hold this to me, make millions and millions and millions? He never talk about any Abdullah or anything because he know the truth. You know, this was Walter Silani, and remember, when Neville was doing these work, there was no social media. Okay, but they're building the Tower of Babel, and the same Tower of Babel are gonna turn back on them. Okay, and destroy that language of symbology they've been using all the time. Okay, they fall on their own heads. Okay, supposed to say tell them. Yes, you have to tell people the truth. Okay, because that's how they will be free. Okay. Don't just think, well, oh, if you get more money. No, more money ain't going to make you free. Look at all of these men who want to put on dresses in Hollywood. Because why? They're not free. Look at all of these men who have to go and find a pale woman to be their wife just because they want to be accepted. Okay, I'm not doing that. Look at the young people who are bleaching the skin because they want to be accepted. Okay, and let me say this. Okay, I don't care the complexion of anybody's skin. What I'm speaking about is lie and truth. My thing is about lie and truth. That's what it's all about. Okay, lie and truth. I'm not here to discriminate against anyone at all. Okay, but I'm putting right where right's supposed to be. Okay, and where the lies are, I'm exposing the lies. Okay, they are speaking the same, but it's like he doesn't like the fact that Neville is getting all the attention. If that's the case, why bring attention to Neville but speak your truth? He sounds bitter. Of course, people, right, when you rap for the fellas, okay, and you are doing something that will stop the privilege that they've been given, they would have to say these things. Because, for example, if I compromise and I sit back and I relax and I try to be nice, you wouldn't come here and make this kind of comment. You have to make this kind of comment because I'm touching somewhere, okay? Because why? It's only the truth can do these kind of things. Okay, so I had to use Neville, okay? I had to do certain things to get people attention. So you could say what you like. I'm telling the honest truth. Okay, I've always known these things about Neville. I've always seen the holes and the cracks. I could have always put two and two together and realize that this man is not telling the whole truth. I could have put two and two together and realize why this man family from England was in Barbados and all of that. Long time. But they had to do that until they reach a certain time. Okay, because I'm a man who like to be spontaneous, and I like to be led by my intuition. I'm very intuitive. So if my intuition don't tell me to do something, I'm not gonna do it. I'll wait on the right time and the right season to do something. You realize that when I make my channel Abdullah Neville Goddard, right? And when Neville Goddard was just out before they removed the Wikipedia, okay, at the brotherhood and they hide that, right? When it was there, okay, with the woman who live up to 100 years, okay? But when it was there wasn't much channel with Neville. Was only the only person was this with this guy name I'm trying to remember this guy. Okay, when they come on, he used to say Pinky, we are trying to take over the world. Trying to remember the guy name. Okay, Justin. Yeah, this guy Justin. He was one of the only person. Okay, who was posting about Neville Goddard and so on. But after a while, when people start to realize, okay, the opportunities and the internet and so on, because when I started YouTube, I wasn't doing YouTube for anything. I didn't even know YouTube could pay you. I never know anything about that. But when people start, then they jump and they build a whole thing about Neville Goddard, and that was really the agenda. Okay, that's why these people was putting all the work together. For many years, they was hiding all of these things. Okay, as a matter of fact, the rain came down and where I'm standing right here, if you look at this, I would say, okay, this was run by a slave master. This house right here was owned by a slave master. Okay, this way they used to be after they take over this place. Okay, from people who are just like me. Okay, and that is why in this area right here, the churches, the main churches, they have the headquarters up here where the certain men live. And they have the governor general live above. I know what I'm talking about, and that is why the royals always come right here. Okay, right. There's a tree right here. There's a bowly tree here. There's a secret right here that nobody knows. I know there's a secret right by this bowly tree right here. Okay, and they shift the people and they carry them, and every 14th March they will go up on a hill up there called Dorset Hill, where the Caucasian leave their children with secret. Okay. And they will gather up there to say they're celebrating a national hero. But I know it's right down here. Okay, and I know why he's here too. Here is connected to a certain mountain, and that certain mountain is connected to another mountain. I wouldn't go into certain things. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. Say, which book of yours, again, do you recommend we get to understand this viewpoint? Oh, the black mystic from Ethiopia, Neville Goddard mentor, where I show you if there was such a black man, he would have been exposing Neville Goddard ancestry, and I'll show you too that what Neville is doing and what Neville is teaching, exposing his ancestry. You see, people have to learn to read between the lines. If you read all of these self-help teachers and what they're teaching, okay, and you see what was given to melanated people, I think I'm gonna go back under the tree and so on. If you see what was given, you take up my bag and do stuff for me. Okay, yeah. If you see what was given to melanated people and what is their belief system, and you take their teaching, you take all of the different teachings on the internet right now, if you have any kind of comments, and you put them together, and you put what melanated people were taught, and check who gave them the things to believe what they believe, and how it was done, then you see where I'm coming from. This is the time the people chop themselves. But people get in check. Look at all the different influencers and what they're saying. Listen to these people. You have to listen to them. You have to listen to them. You have to read their books. And then you have to put two and two together and realize. There's some people who like to talk about the Cabal and the Illuminati and all of these kind of thing. But they never just explain who these people are. They would say they, but they never say who they are. Look at the Caucasian people who make video. Like someone sent me message me and was telling me about they just listen to Morg official and so on. And I had to ask the person if they are really a melanated person, if they can so deceive so easily. Okay? Because these people tell you they're exposing this and that, but they're not telling who they're exposing. And the truth of the matter is that they had to deceive their own also to be able to do what they would have done or to accomplish what they would have accomplished. So they have to remain telling a lie. It's like you in a relationship with a woman and she lied to you. Okay, she had to continue telling lies to cover another lie and another lie to cover another lie and another lie to cover another lie. So after they interpret the Bible to you and the esoteric, they had hidden the esoteric for many, many years. Then they started bringing a little bit of the esoteric, And what they did, they know what one nigga wouldn't do, another nigga would do. So what they used to do, what they did down throughout the ages, they set up these lodges in all of the islands. And they brainwash these people by giving them a little bit more privilege, okay, than others. And they were able to die with a secret. Why the hell you want to die with some sort of secret? If you want to say that we are all one, okay, you're going to say there's one consciousness, there's one universal consciousness and all of that, right? Check out these people teachings, okay? Why are you want to have, okay, secret hidden from the rest of society till the day you die? I remember quite vividly as a young man, there was a man who had died and they had the funeral, okay, and there were men and women, the most men and women I ever see, and every one of them had a piece of tool in their hand. So some had hammer, some had saw, because they didn't really understand that I was a little boy. I remember quite vividly. I followed that funeral right up to the burial, because that man was a man that people used to want to say that he was my grandfather, but he was not. They never accept me, and so on and on. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So yeah. Reconnecting. Yeah. I remember having gone into the dream world and met someone who was in a fraternity, and I was speaking and they were there, they wasn't saying anything, and I knew that they were in a fraternity. Okay, so the consciousness or the awareness that you leave with here, okay, it will continue to follow you. So you're gonna continue living a life hiding a secret and keeping a secret. Okay, you don't want to live like that, you don't want to die like that, you want to die with a free conscience. Okay, and so these people are gonna say, oh, you sound bitter. And I'm not bitter, man. I just being real. Okay, because I can feel the hurt of other people. Okay, but I know you'll always have the polarity. I'm not here to change anything. I am just here to fulfill and to point some people in the right direction, while others will never find the right direction. Okay, so I have nothing to be bitter about. Okay, which book? Which someone say which book of yours again do you recommend we get to understand this viewpoint? I think I mentioned that already. Okay, and the person named the Potter, and the Potter that form and shape and mold. It's just your true essence. It's your consciousness. It's your awareness. And the Walter Silanian man have a book talk about and it was said of a certain Potter. Okay, and he called that Potter Abdullah. Allah is speaking about your God self, your higher self. Okay, but when you start to use the word Ab, and Neville he used to call him Ab. Ab is a servant or a slave. Don't make nobody fool you. Okay, and Neville family had slaves. Okay, Creative Divine from India. Nice having you on. Hello everyone. Very interested in Neville Goddard. Okay, we are creators. Yeah, Justin, we are creators. Yeah, that's the name of his channel. Okay. It is true that we are creators, but you have to be a more conscious and a deliberate creator, and you have to be a free one. Okay, because you can create, but you're not free. Okay, because many of these people who were trapped in Hollywood, okay, they were creating their reality, but they were still trapped. Okay, some of them had to get out. Hollywood. Okay? Grand rising to you, my brother. Thank you, Amazon. All right, thank you. Yeah, Amazon. If his family were slavers, I can now see where Abdullah was probably fake. Of course, Abdullah was fake. I glad at least somebody is seeing. I know Abdullah was fake. I know Abdullah was fake because I know presently right now standing before you who I am. So I know Abdullah is fake. You see, people in America and all of those places, right? Neville Goddard would resonate with them in a certain way, and they would easily run with what he said about Abdullah and some, but not people who are self-aware and enlightened and live in the islands, in the colony. A colony that the family is still running. That's why all of the tourist ships, when all of the tourist ships comes in, the people on the tourist ships, they sign a contract whereby his family business, okay, the couriers business, they get more, they have big bosses, bunch of big bosses, and they have tour guides, and they have all these black monkeys telling them, oh, this is that and that and that, and they're telling a bunch of lies. Just some time ago, I was right in this place. I see a tour guide telling someone, oh, this breadfruit cheese. Yeah. How do you explain? Joseph Murphy is a liar too, saying that Abdullah was also his teacher. Because he's a liar, all them belong to the same freaking line of brotherhood and so on. As I tell you, it's a pattern that run. There's a pattern, I could run the pattern right down. Remember, I knew, I meet William Branham, you know, in Dreamland, you know, in Woodland. A man who people all around the world, all in Africa, believe this man is the last day prophet. And he used to go by Alexander Dowie. That's the name I was trying to remember from before. He used to go by Alexander Dowie grave. Alexander Dowie did the same thing and say he was Elijah and he was the last day prophet, and he had a breastplate. You understand? That he used to wear. These people have been using these things all the time to generate billions and billions and billions of dollars without they've been caught and say is money laundering. So that's why the religious system been used to extort money to continue to keep most of humanity in mental slavery. That is why they always go to Africa with so-called charity. Do you know that charity would blind you and keep you dumb? That's what charity is for. That is why in every island, when they set up these resorts and so on, they will join in the community and say they're giving charity because the people love freeness when there's actually no freeness. Nothing for free. Inhalation and an exhalation is a giving and a receiving. Is a transaction. Oh, do you explain? Yeah, so Joseph Murphy was a liar too. Keeping it real as always. Yes, you have to keep it real. You have to speak the truth. Joseph Murphy is a liar too. You have to expose Joseph Murphy too. The controller always seem to keep us divided. Yes, that's what they always do. Okay, and they always tell a story. Okay, and with the story, if you don't look deeply, you would never see the deception in the story. So they have stories to tell you from now until up to your 17th generation. They'll have these stories, but you have to break the curses, break the spell. You're under spell. They have the wall under spell. In all of these countries, the colonizers is who would have written the history for the people. And they believe them. And they teach them in the school to the children at a very, very young age. So they make sure they brainwash the children and prepare them for the plantation. I just got here. So what are you saying? What is your message? What is your purpose? How are you different? You have to have spiritual discernment to know how am I different. Okay? I am telling you that you've been brainwashed from a child, and unless you're willing to unlearn and relearn and reprogram your subconscious mind and accept the truth, you will remain a slave. And money can never set you free from mental slavery. It will never set you free from discovering that your real identity is your divinity, and that's why they're using money so that you wouldn't discover for yourself that your real identity is your divinity. Okay, and Neville Goddard lied about Abdullah. Anyone from this country, okay, who could go to their great-great-grandparents and ask about the Goddard family will tell you who they were and why they're still a part of the ruling class in this country. Okay? There are families that secretly run this country. For example, the Vinle company that everybody have to pay electricity bill to is a white family run the business. And if you tell the people in my country that is a white family run the business, they cost you, they tell you the government. the water authority that people have to pay for water is white family run all of those things. Okay? But they don't want you to know that. They want to always keep you in ignorance. Okay? So politics and religion, they're two cults. Politics, our political parties and our churches, they are cults. They want to culture you to think and act a certain way. And once you start to think and act a certain way, the way they want you to think and act, you control. You chop in the matrix. So, so don't make them fool you. Okay? Why would they give a black man credit? He wasn't giving a black man credit. He's only using that to stop the light of a black man present day. So there are also black people looking in the past. That's the trick. That's why they use Jesus, blonde hair, blue eye boy, and they're still using the same agenda in a different way. So what Neville is doing, right? Neville wants black people to always be looking backward. That's what he was doing. Okay? So that was Neville Goddard's strategy. Okay? Why would they give? Yeah, but he wasn't giving Neville no credit. All these people who think he was giving, so Neville was giving some black man credit, you get trick. You're getting trick. Why you want to give one black man credit? I'll give every black man credit. Not one black man. There was no special freaking black man in 1933 who could have just go in the opera and all of that and go and buy a ticket by himself unless he was part of some freaking secret brotherhood. Keep quiet, Mr. Mini Cash. Unless it was to draw in black customers. No. I thought they were a target market. No. You talking a bunch of bullshit, right? Because you do not know that Neville belonged to a secret brotherhood. That's the thing where most people don't know. Why did they move Neville Goddard Wikipedia and put it back? And they remove the information that was there before. Think I just talking? Abraham, I didn't go to school. I educated myself. I moved from America at an early age. So what you're saying is true. Okay. Thank you very much. Who is a good author you recommend? It all depends on who you are and what you're looking for. Okay. But I would say that James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, you must read that. If you read As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, you see everything that I am saying, and you will see how much they use religion to control your mind. And you will see who set up the system to control the people's mind. You will see the devil. Okay? You see both the devil, which is a negative self, and you see those who play in the part of the devil too. Okay? And then you'll understand the law of polarity. And you'll realize when you speak, you're not bitter against anyone. And when you speak, it's because you understand polarity. You have nothing against no one. Okay? You just stand for the truth. Okay? And you can have truth if there isn't a lie. So, you have to understand that everyone have to play their part. Okay? So, you could read James Allen As a Man Thinketh, and then you could get my book, Meditate to Eradicate Poverty. You can get Your Mood is Your Fortune. Okay? Because Because you see, the way how you feel about yourself have a lot to do with your belief system. And your belief system will shape your subconscious mind with certain feeling. When you've been taught in school that you come from a background of slave, okay, and school programming you for the plantation, and it is like Neville Goddard family name already done establish yourself, and you have to go and work with them. What do you think happened? They could tell you, take the injection. I'm talking about 2020 to 2022. They could tell you, take the injection. I go be without pay. And if you don't understand that you are money and you have a living, flowing currency inside of you, how are you going to make it? I didn't know. I support both of your channels. Okay? It's good to know that, but I believe in tough love. Okay? So when someone like myself who live in a country where never got a family rule and reign, and it have the biggest set of companies, okay, and so on, you have to listen to that man. Okay, this is not a man just talking. Okay? Being rich, wealthy, and abundant means having your own from your produce and becoming your own God. Yes, and everything lies inside of you. Everything is within you. But I have to be honest with you. There's some people who have to start from nothing because of how your generation, from generation to generation to generation to generation, they've been brainwashed. Like for example, if you're born in a family that never had land and never owned land, okay, when you become aware, when you become enlightened, you have to start from zero. So even though you enrich yourself, it will be more challenging for you. Okay? So when you understand how generational causes have been passed down, then you will understand why some people, when they become more aware and they become more enlightened, right, they still have to go through certain stages, okay, because it's an ongoing process. Now you have the Neville Goddard and Abdullah channel, yeah, and now you are, speaking against his claim, just trying to understand this. I did that because it's the only how I would get people attention. Okay, I would have known it from a long time, and many videos you will always hear me speak about why they remove Neville Goddard Wikipedia, but I never go into it to talk about the secret brotherhood. It is around this time I start doing it. Okay? And if you study my channel too, you would see, and if you get, and my book, The Black Mystic from Ethiopia, Neville Goddard mentor many colored, many white people were offended by the things I put inside it there because they think I was going with the Neville Goddard agenda and they got tricked. Okay? So many people say, oh, this man is on a low vibration. No. You've been brainwashed by your ancestors. Okay? As a matter of fact, most of these people are more brainwashed than melanated people, you know. Yeah. If the privilege and so on be moved, many of them will suffer. Yeah. Many of them will suffer. Okay, that's why they have to keep Africa the way that they keep Africa and so on. Okay? And many of our people who work in with all of these different, companies and so on, and you think that if you don't have money, you're gonna die, you're gonna be homeless, you're tricking yourself. They need you more than you really need them. That's the trick. People in my country who going and working in all of these resorts and so on, and so on. They think that they need these people to come and build in their country, and they need these investors because the politicians tell them that. But they need you more than you need them. Just like how the politicians need you more than you really need them. That's why every 4 or 5 years they come around and they beg you for your energy, for your power. Because why? They're out of employment and they want to be employed. No, you have, naming my own animals, my cities, and my stores. Yeah, let me tell you something. When you realize that you're a magician, you can conjure anything that you want to conjure up. You could summon anything you want to summon into your reality. Don't let nobody fool you. Okay? What you're saying is true, but we as people must grow. The stages of what we believe is true. in order to realize and become more aware of. Okay. One thing I always say, you have to be willing to unlearn. Okay, and you have to be willing to relearn completely, and then reprogram your whole subconscious mind. Okay, you have to accept the fact that your parents, they were brainwashed, they were deceived, they didn't know better. But when someone comes and know better, you have to listen. Perhaps you should now change your channel name. It doesn't matter. I don't have to change my channel name. Something like Wake Up Brothers and Sisters. No, it can still stay there. Okay? It can still stay there until when people realize that Neville Goddard legacy cannot stand. Then I might change the name. But now I'm messing with a lot of people gravy chain. Okay? When they can't stand no longer, then I might move the name. But that's the name. Because that's the only how I will get people attention. That's the only how I will get their attention. The only how, right, to get some melanated people to start to basically realize that Jesus never existed as a literal man 2,000 years ago. Never had to put the work like that and add in a fake black man. But that was still to keep them in a limited state and to give them a little bit of the breadcrumb that fall from the master's table. But when you have someone like myself, present day, like he says that people, you still schedule interview with Abdullah. When you have a man right now, you can schedule an interview with. You have a man right now who is not just a talker, a man who have had experience, a man who wake up, a man who understands his single eye, a man who understands the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N, a man who understands the dawning of a new day, a man who is the sun man and showing you the ice man, and they hiding what is behind the ice, and they hiding what is behind the sun. And you have a man right here, right now. Why would you want to look to somebody in the past? There's a bunch of people say, oh, did Abdullah write any book? Did Abdullah do this? No, it's a make-up story, just like the Jesus story. And they painted in their image and their likeness. Then Neville come back around and say, the woman say, and if God walk with them, where is he? And God say, at thy side. And the woman say, so you mean to say that Neville is God? Singular. If Neville is God and Neville is God the Father, that's singular. Then who are we then? Then who am I? Boy, people just don't think. People just don't think. They just get caught up with the hype. That is not different to say that Jesus is a savior. The white man will always present his image to you. Because it's a game. It's a game. Understand the game. Master, servant. Master, slave. It's a game. I'm not against these people for playing the game the right way. I'm just trying to teach you to play the game the right way. That's like Michael Jackson advertising for Coca-Cola and come to find out he was drinking tea because he hates cola. It's just the same thing that they do in bodybuilding too. All these men taking steroids and then they advertising for a supplement company. Huh? Don't watch. No steroids in this meat, bro. This is natural, 100% natural. Genetically gifted people on this planet, bro. Okay? So, and I haven't even eaten anything for the morning. I haven't eaten anything for the morning. I decided I'm going to come down early and then afterwards when I go back home, then I can eat. You understand? So it's no different. Okay? So you just have to understand the game and know how to play the game. That's why if you read my book, The Black Mystic from Ethiopia, a lot of time in the book I say use reverse psychology. I say Abdullah was teaching black people to use reverse psychology. Who's Abdullah? You're looking for Abdullah? The parable is a state of consciousness. Okay, they know that black people come to that state of consciousness. Okay? That's a black man coming to God's self without any brotherhood, without anything. Okay, that's why a man called me a divergent. You must go watch a movie Divergent and you're going to understand what I'm talking about. Okay? Which affirmation is best for self concept? You always start your affirmation with I am. You could never say I am and you're referring to yourself. Everywhere in the Bible you read and you say I am, and you think that you're saying I am for someone else, that means you're mentally retarded. Do you know that they've been keeping our people being mentally retarded? Going to church and being mentally retarded. Ellen G. White have so many of our people being mentally retarded with Sabbath. Why do you think I do a video called The Sexual Sabbath they don't want you to know about? Go check that out on my other channel, the Black Mad Guru channel. And then go check out the honey secret that they don't want you to know on my channel. Do you know when the act of creating is finished, the soft part between a man tied a shank, that in the Bible, you know, in Genesis, you're going into Sabbath. When the act is finished, what daily practices or teachings do you use? To be honest with you, I always do two type of breathing. I do first of all the Iceman breathing, which is the Wim Hof breathing, and then I do my breathing, which is the Sunman breathing. Okay, so the Wim Hof breathing, that's just to settle me in. Okay, and then I start to use the sexual honey breathing, and that's when it start to vibrate. That's when it start to shake. That's when it start to touch all the cells throughout your body. Because why? You're operating from the solar plexus. Now, this not heart and brain coherence like with Joe Dispenza then tell you, bro. As I always say, and let me use the analogy again to help someone. If someone heart stop beating for a moment and they're in an ambulance, they take this thing that they rub together. Okay, this electrical thing they rub together and they shock him back. Okay, what do you think they're doing? They're mimicking the center of consciousness. They're mimicking the solar plexus that have the heart clicking and going. Okay? That's why the sun is the savior of this world. The sun is what energizes this entire world. The sun is what gives this world all its energy and all its vitality. And Bill Gates and want to block the sun. They want to create the ice age. Okay, so I normally do that. And for affirmation, I normally say that I'm happy and I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, and I'm wise. I always use that. I am happy, I'm healthy, I am wealthy, and I am wise. That's the affirmation I use every living day of my life. And I always do a gratitude chant. Okay, I'll share that in another video. A certain gratitude chant I always do. Okay. That gratitude chant is like an incantation. Oh, there's something right now with what daily okay. The same person asking the question, what's up? I listen to As a Man Thinketh in the mornings. Yeah, that's a good thing to listen to As a Man Thinketh. Okay? You listen to As a Man Thinketh until something in you move. There's something in you that will move. You stare at angel, then you realize it's a state of mind. Then you realize there's no angel with no wing. Okay? An angel will definitely stare in you. Okay? So, my brother and my sisters, I'm going to continue to talk about the many lies of Neville Goddard. You're going to start to put two and two together. And you will see that there was no Abdullah. Okay, there's a make-up story. There was no black man. Because for that to happen, Neville will have to accept, and white people have to accept that the black man is their God and they are the servant. You just have to understand the things that Neville was saying and use back reverse psychology, and you're going to know it's a lie. Because how could this black man teach Neville Goddard these things, and then Neville Goddard came and experienced the promise, and he's claiming that this man never experienced the promise? And how is it that I have that experience and in a greater way? And how he say that his son what had blonde hair, And how is it my son didn't have no blonde hair when I gave birth? And how he say that the baby was wrapped in swaddling clothes? How my baby wasn't wrapped in no swaddling clothes? Huh? But it is the sign. And when a baby come out of a woman and it still still have the tube that run to the woman. Huh? How is it when I had the experience, I realized that is the rising of the S-U-N and the S-O-N? You see, you have to also God in your image and your likeness. So when Neville says that the woman at his side say, and if God walk with him, where is he? And she look at him and say, you mean to say Neville is God? You know what he's doing? He's seeing God in his image and likeness. But so then if you do not see God in your image and likeness, which you would not see God in your image and likeness when he tell you about Abdullah, and you hold on to the Abdullah story, you see the chick? It's a chick. They've been checking you for ages. And they're still checking you. And they themselves are not doing it now. You have the preachers to do it. You have them in Africa. You have them in America. You have them in the Caribbean. You have them all over. Your pastors have been shitting on you for years, upon years. And you don't realize it. You realize that these places they call church, they're vampire houses where they're sucking your blood and keeping you under fear. Your blood represents your energy, the life force. They're sucking the life force from you. So my brother and my sisters, this is just basically a wake-up call for people to realize that this man here speaking is not a man who just come up with just things just like that. I don't have no agenda against Neville Goddard. I'm not against the things that Neville Goddard taught either, where he's interpreting the Bible, where the Bible interpretation is concerned and so on. I'm not against those things. I'm against the lie that he used to divert black people from seeing their present-day messengers that will come to them and speak to them. He's diverting them from that. That is what I am against. So don't want no one get me wrong. Okay? We talk about Abdullah, and I play along the game all the time. I've been playing along all the time. And I've been putting things together. Okay? So, that's how I come to realize, nah, this thing is a setup. And then I started putting together. It take me a long time to be putting the things them together because I didn't want to just come out and say something and then I don't have the facts to go with it. Okay? So when I tell you Wikipedia was removed and they removed the exact thing about his connection to that secret brotherhood, they removed that. So it was done on purpose. So that's what I'm talking about. And then when people start to discover Walter C. Lanyon, right, they start to try to now take the Walter C. Lanyon and put it to the Neville, not knowing that Walter C. Lanyon born way back in 18 something. Walter C. Lanyon was writing books when Neville was still a little boy. That's what people don't know. So when the man in England showed Neville Goddard the bloodline and gave him the books, that's why the family, Neville Goddard family, allow him to go on the journey. He just have one in the family. He just have one in the family. Yeah. So they wasn't telling him all the time. So Neville's father used to go in Iraq and chair and do his stuff. That's why they've always been businessmen. In one part, Neville Goddard was saying he parents was poor, then he saying they were businessmen. We part businessmen as be poor. Where you can find a poor businessman? Show me where you find a poor businessman. You never find a poor businessman, no. The number one money making thing in this world is selling. So you find a poor businessman. Where did Neville do that? Can you direct me to look that up? What you're talking about? You have to Scott Page. Mention exactly what you're talking about. Because I've been saying a lot of things. So when you say where did Neville do that? Can you direct me to look that up? mention exactly what you're talking about because I've been seeing a lot of things. Okay? And as a matter of fact, I have to go back and listen to some of those Neville Goddard tapes to bring out some more things because for a long time now, I'll stop listening to what he was saying, things that he was saying, but I could remember a lot of things that he would have said. Okay? You're talking about where Neville said about and God walk with them. You would have to search to see which one he lecture, but no, he said it. Okay? And even to when he talk about there were never incorporating a black man in his scheme that thing when the woman asked the question and he answer and he talk about Krishnamurti and he talk about the person that asks about reincarnation and when Neville talk about Walcott and them and so on and some other people, some other New Thought people. And then he said they never incorporated black people in the scheme of things. Okay? Somebody asked, have you read any of his books? I have almost all of Neville Goddard books except Resurrection. Because they hit that one. I'm not going to talk about someone unless I look, I know about him way before he was all over the internet. Around something about like around say 2014, 2015. And YouTube about started must be around 2010. So about say 4 to 5 years in. Okay, Wikipedia was right there with the real history and so on. And the affiliation to the brotherhood. So I'm not a Neville Goddard historian. I remember all the things that he was saying. But I ain't gonna go directly and tell look there, look there, look there. You have to go and look and listen for yourself. Of course, someone who asked me if I read the books. Yeah. And that's why when Neville Goddard say feeling is the secret, he didn't tell you which feeling. But I tell you which feeling is the secret. Which is the honey. The honey feeling. The honey feeling and the drowsy sleepy feeling that is the same thing. But the honey feeling more higher. It take you there more quicker. It take you there more higher vibration and frequency. That's why Daddy want us bring a baby. The drowsy sleepy state don't bring you a baby. Man, I wonder if these things are making sense to people. So my brother and my sister, I could go on and on and on, but I see there's just 3 more minutes left before an hour. When it's an hour, definitely gonna come to a close. Okay? So this is not me being bitter or anything like that. It's just that I have to speak the truth because as one who been expressed on this planet in a melanated body, okay, that's how I would be seen, physically speaking, any part of the world I go. So when I see someone is trying to, downgrade and degrade melanated people in a disguise, I have to show them up. I don't think, as myself, wouldn't leave out the black man or any other color or race. Scott Page, you could say what you want to say, man. I've heard many people speak like you before. Okay? But I'm telling you, Neville Goddard had agenda when he mentioned Abdullah. Okay? That's a make-up story. Okay? And that is to save black people from seeing the present. That's it. It's done. When a living mystic is before you, they want you look into some make-up story of some mystic from Ethiopia because they know certain knowledge just taken from Ethiopia. But the same knowledge and bloodline from Ethiopia is spread. It's spread all over. Okay? It's spread all over. Spread all over. If Neville Goddard is the man that they say Neville Goddard is, and he born in a colony, well, if a man gonna bring emancipation to people, you have to born in a colony too. If Neville Goddard say freedom for all, and he born in a colony, then his son have a planter, a slave plantation owner. What happened to a man like myself who bring the real true emancipation? I'm born in a colony. And what they say, can any good thing come out of what? Nazareth? Parables. They say no king ever come out from there. And then what they say, we're going to crucify him. The religious and political system. Your Christ consciousness. Why they always want to crucify us? Huh? Look how melanated people been treated in America. Just because of the color of their skin. They try to portray us as inferior people. Well, we are actually superior. Well, ain't we who doing it, you know? They're the ones who doing it. Yet, everything I saying, me speaking no race. If you still thinking I speak in race, you're stupid. I deal with truth and exposing lies. So that is what it's all about. Okay. So it's an hour. I'm definitely gonna close it, but I'm gonna promise you that I'm gonna continue to expose Neville and the lies. Okay, because there wasn't no Abdullah. Okay, so you're not gonna play black people like that. I am here to speak nothing but the truth. So with that being said, I just want to say peace. I'll definitely see you in another life.